Ciao Blender artists, and welcome back to the second part of the Blender tutorial where we will be modeling a dancing Christmas elf. This week we will speak about texturing and we will use some techniques we have already explored in some previous videos but apply to our character. I would like to thank all of you that enjoyed the previous video and subscribe to my channel. I remember you to subscribe to stay up to date with the new contents, and let's jump in. This is what we are going to create in this video. We have the character we used last time and we select the character and we create a new material. We rename the material as we want. We select the polygons we want to get that material assigned to. Once you change the color in the material, you simply click Assign to make sure that the material is applied to those particular polygons. The very first time you do this, you will not be able to change just the color of those polygons because the rest of the model will require a material. After that, create a new material and select a different portion of your model. In this case, we will create the shirt of our character. Make sure you select just the polygons that compose the t-shirt. The belt will divide the bottom part from the top part of the Christmas elf. You can also hide certain part of the model to make sure that every polygon has the right color. For example, if you press H after selecting the hand will disappear momentarily. Select then the leg and create a third material. Remember that every time you create a new material, you can assign the material. So that particular shader will act only on those polygons. Do the same for the shoes. Make them in a brown color, and our model is taking shape. The hair are not connected to the model yet, so you can select them, create a new material and simply use it. Make them whitish to remember those northern traits. For the belt, do exactly the same. Select the belt, create a new material, and then assign to the second part of the belt. You can also assign a similar material to another object. So if you created the shoes in brown and you want to use the same material, you simply create a new material and then apply it. We create also a nimbo, so we will have a kind of a graded background. Simply bevel the edge, the 90-degree edge, make it smooth, and yes, it should work fine also to create this graded background. Change the color of the background into a light blue, and this will slightly affect your model. That's the reason why you should work in parallel. What am I going to do now is making sure that the pants will be in stripes. I could UV unwrap them, but I can actually create the texture directly in a procedural way. So simply select the pants and project them in the front view. So project from view. Then enter the shader editor and add the following nodes. First, add a color ramp node. Set the color ramp to constant, so each color will not be graded, but you will pass from one color to the other. At the moment, you don't have a projection for the color ramp. So set up a texture coordinate and a mapping and add a combine X, Y, and Z. We want to apply this just on the Z axis because we go from the bottom to the top. So in this way, the color ramp will pass from the bottom to the top, from black to white. You also will have to slightly rotate the map in the mapping node in a way that the lines will be projected in a parallel way to the floor. Play a little bit with the color ramp and make sure that the grade is applied the proper way as you want. In this way, I start from the ankles and I will repeat the effect using a math node. We already saw this in one of the previous tutorials. Usually to repeat those kind of effects, you use a module. If you play a little bit with the module and you set to a number that's less than 0, you will see your effect be repeated multiple times. Remember that this acts just in one direction. So in case you don't see any change, simply rotate the map using the texture coordinate of 180 degrees on the X or Y axis. The color ramp also allows you to change color directly. So we set one of the two colors to red and we leave the other color to white. The mapping node is great to move the textures and rotate without having to act on the UV mapping. I have to confess that in the past I used the UV mapping a lot, but this may lead you to mess up a little with the texture, so I really suggest you to use the mapping node. Next, we add some lights. Usually I set up a 3-point light with a main light stronger, a secondary light a little bit weaker, and a tertiary light very, very weak and white. The main light should be parallel and really strong and really big in terms of lamp. Remember just to put it outside the influence of the camera. So if you put a camera, put outside what the camera sees, and remember to increase the power if you don't see the desired effect. Another advice that I give you is changing the color of the light. It is true that the light is white normally, but mixing two colors create a very interesting and realistic effect on each of your model. In this case is a Christmasish character, so one of the light will be reddish, the other will be yellowish, and the third one, the tertiary light, will be white. Another factor that can influence your character is the roughness and metalness. In this case, we are creating a character with a single shader, so the roughness should be set to 0.6, there is no metalness, and all the shaders should be the same way. So you simply replicate the previous shaders and you change the color, besides for the one created for the pants. This passage can take some time, so take all the time you need to test, change the light, increase the brightness, reduce the brightness, and so on. I usually add also an HDR image to make sure that any kind of reflection is properly assessed. You don't really need to make the background visible. There are different tricks to do that. In our case, we don't really have to do anything special because the Nimbo that we created will act as a barrier and you will not see the element, the image that you are using to lit your character. You simply can choose the light depending on the final effect you want to achieve. And that's it. We created our character. Today's part is over and we are just one step away from animating our amazing character. If you didn't do, subscribe to my channel and activate the small bell so you will have all the updates with the new contents I'm gonna publish. The day after tomorrow is Christmas, so I really wish you all Merry Christmas and I will see you next week with the final part of the tutorial where we will animate the character using Mixamo. Ciao!